Hello, and welcome to our final session of Free from the Shadow, which is a fantasy PBTA samurai game that is built on Legacy Left Among Ruins / Free from the Yoke. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and we are coming in with our characters having been displayed, our sort of new generation of characters and our changed earlier generation of characters. Last time we saw the Emperor's Court, and we had a meeting of the different characters and clans and discussed what issues were remaining for them. And we did a clan move for each of the clans there at the end to kind of set things up. So I do want to start back up at the clan level a little. We had talked at the end, kind of to go over that. We'd like to see the characters on screen. If we can lean in towards a a zoom in the second third or later, we'd like to aim to do that. I think was the general thing, especially to see how Temujin and Suru's allegiances line up. There was also talk about like if we could infiltrate the Emperor's court was put on the table in a just in an offhand way. So we have a number of things on the table there. I am going to get started, and I want to start this time uh, back with our our previous PC, who's now the daimyo of their clan, Ghost Iris. We did a move for you last time. You're still in a very good place for the mood. You know what the Emperor's desires are. So what is it that you your clan wants to be doing here?
So I think Takashi is not at all. He's not convinced that the Emperor needs a dragon to do what he's doing. He's a fairly practical person, and I think he's seen the Empire be improved, and he's been tasked by the Emperor to try and bring the Tengu into the Empire. And I think last session we did a read the wind and discovered that the Tengu would be moved by a bigger display of interest from the Emperor themselves. I think Takashi needs to find a way to get the Emperor to host the next court with the Tengu.
That's a pretty bold thing. So, uh, how do you want to do this? Is there something you want to set up, or is this going to the Emperor and uh, asking for assistance? We do have a using favor move.
Yeah, where is that move?
That is on the favor and ages tab.
Aha, it is not on the clan moves tab. Okay, so I can ask for help from the Emperor's agent. Having said that, I think the Emperor's agent specifically hates Takashi from previous interactions.
Yes, but you can also below request assistance. There's using favor.
Aha. Roll plus favor. When I hit, you get assistance.
I think access to something can be read very generally.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. Uh oh, there's some fun outcomes there in case it goes terribly wrong.
But your favor is a +1, so you're in good shape.
Sure.
You
Those are
have
the words of doom.
yes, you
Yeah.
certainly could call on assistance, or if you have influence over a minor clan, you could spend that to get advantage on the roll.
Let's call on the assistance of Don Chrysanthemum because I think, yeah, I feel like they would be in a good position, given that we had a courtier in our previous generation, to
So,
help frame this request.
so Suru, are you willing to lend aid? Your clan willing to lend aid to Ghost Iris?
So I think Tsuru would be, but I don't think that the agenda of the clan at large really has a lot of room for extending welcoming hands to the Tengu. Um, so I'm not sure that the clan would lend aid on this.
Would you like to resist that? You would roll hold together.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. What is your mood right now?
Our mood is 3.
Excellent. Then you're in good shape. I'm sure nothing bad will come of this.
Oh, I'm sure. Okay, so that's 3.
So that is a 7. So you get to pick from on the clan moves, hold together. Uh, what 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 is the result that you want? The third one may not be appropriate, but the first two are.
Yeah, interesting. I kind of like the idea that there's some disagreement within the clan about what the clan stance on the Tengu should be,
Mm-hmm.
and that those who are more loyal to Hanashiro no Hatse are perfectly fine with seeming magnanimous and, welcoming the Tengu into the fold. But those who support her rival and the more militaristic side of the clan is not with it. So yeah, I think we'll lose people and gain need recruits.
Okay. Uh, so Ghost Iris, you still spend the influence on them.
Yep,
Uh, so your requests go unheeded.
that's fine.
Okay. Uh, roll with a +1.
5.
So that is a 5. So I imagine that uh that the emperor will speak with Takashi, will speak with your clan, and will say, this is what you are asking is significant. It has potential costs, correct?
I suppose
All right.
it costs little to be polite, but there may be some in the Empire that are less than pleased.
I will announce this. Uh, but you will make sure that the Tengu are prepared for this.
Of course.
And the emperor does. Aoyama goes out and announces this, and the response across the empire is very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting 2 ticks of turmoil on the
Perfect.
track there. That this causes an uproar across the thing. 10 years is not enough time for a legacy. They turned their backs on us before. How do we know they're not allied with the foe? Like all of that talk is inflamed by anyone who can use that to their advantage. including, of course, the various cultists who use it as a means of fomenting more dissension. Brass Wisteria, let us come to you. What clan move is it that you wish to do?
I think that the Empire has entrusted Brass Wisteria with artisans to help to attempt to create an artistic work to bridge the Tengu and the clans.
Yeah.
So I think the move here is that Brass Wisteria is going to be reading the wind to try and figure out how. So we have the clan side of that. We have the artisans from the Emperor, but I think we're going to try and read the wind to figure out how to enlist the Tengu in this project. We will take advantage because of strange friendships.
That's right.
That said, I think our reach is only, is it reach? That's the
reach, yes.
reach. So our reach is 0. So, pluses and minuses.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do is so I think it's well, I guess we'll see how it goes, and then we'll interpret the roll.
Sure.
All right. That's a 10.
That is a 10. So you have 2 hold. You can use that to ask questions there.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a flavor of the how can we get access to, which is really about, how can we get the Tengu bought in on this cross-cultural work project.
The thing with the Tengu is that they are very mono-focused. They have their own particular faith and way of speaking with the kami that is very different set of rituals than the Empire has. They have their legendary skill as duelists, but then the only real craft that is considered an art or given a certain amount of respect within the Tengu culture, much to the detriment to the other artisans among the Tengu, is swordsmithing. That is the only art that they consider valuable.
Okay.
Does that seem like a fair first answer?
Yeah, that seems like a fair first answer. I think maybe I will take my second hold to take advantage on take advantage forward acting on this.
Okay. That seems reasonable. Let's come then around to Dawn Chrysanthemum. Crow Azalea. I just scroll over.
Exactly. Got to keep scrolling.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's see here. Ooh, so many good moves. Let's see here. I think the things that are needed for enlightenment, we need 3 more, and it would be artisans, blessings, respect, scouts, or spirits.
Yes.
Alexa, cancel timer.
So I wonder if we have respect, but I wonder if the thing to do right now is for the clan to use the Eye of the Ancestors to essentially seek some truths out. And I think one of those would be like, because isn't that a thing that we can use to figure out how to get a surplus?
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, so that sounds like a thing.
Okay. So may gather to seek a truth to the past. So you can roll with reach.
Okay, so that's 2. So I'm rolling 2d6 now and
Yeah.
2 to the answer.
Now, the
Okay.
difference between this and read the wind is that you have the additional advantage that you can declare an answer with 1 hold
Ooh, okay.
versus having to roll a 12 plus and to do that.
Okay. Cool. So that gives me an 11.
That gives you an 11. So you have 2 hold to ask questions or declare a detail.
Okay. Let's see here. So
What do you think that looks like? Like, is it a calling of the kami? Is it an indoor ritual? Is it something else? What do you think that looks like? That eyes the ancestors.
as the ancestors, I know, and it sounds so very much like the Imperial scholars, doesn't it? Poor Kenta was so disappointed when he actually saw what it was. So essentially what it is it's a gathering of the sort of masters of the Shugenja and uh and their seconds. And essentially what they do is they draw lots for the direction, the directions, and they go in all the directions of the compass, and they seek out essentially the kami that are most willing to speak to them. Like this is usually based on whatever their expertise is.
Mhm.
You know, and so essentially they go. So it's sort of like a, what do you say? It's sort of like a prophecy, but the thing is there's actually a thing of it doesn't matter what direction we go into. It's just making sure that we don't always go in the same direction is what it is.
Okay.
It's very much so. It's sort of not actually like they're being like, oh, the dice mean something. It's just to ensure that they don't always pull upon the same kami for assistance.
Okay.
And essentially what it is they all go out and then they come back when they've gotten their answers, and they wait until all of them have come back, and then they have a big debate, and that's kind of it. It is yeah.
So magical polling and then consensus building. Okay.
Exactly.
So what are your 2 questions
I think
or declarations?
so. I think that the first part is, to establish how it is that we get the surplus of spirits, like what would be necessary for this project. And so, and spirits is different than kami in some ways. Kami are actually
Well, kami are considered in with the spirits there.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they are with the spirits, but they aren't exactly the same.
Right.
So that's part of it, is that it's that sort of figuring out if it's just kami or something outside of that. And so I think I will say, how do we get the surplus? I'll ask you how we get the surplus, but then I'll probably from that declare a thing about that. Does that seem reasonable?
Absolutely. They will come back with a statement that if you want the blessings of the spirits, then, and if you want those blessings to come and be, advantageous in the calling of the dragons, then there are 2 things you can choose from. The first is that the emperor has accumulated a number of pieces of regalia quietly, and this is not good because they still bear some of the anger and rage of the foe. And part of the reason for the emperor's movement around so much has been kind of gathering these things. So those need to be gotten away from the emperor. Alternately, Shadow Valley, there lies a corrupted spirit and a dangerous one, a shadow dragon that fell. And if it can be dealt with, that could be another option. And your second question or declaration?
Wow, Megan, you are so okay. Let's see here.
If you put the questions in my hands, I will give
I
you
know,
the
and
hardest
it
of
has
all
to be,
answers.
and you are just awesome that way. I had to do it. Some part of it had to be. So, seriously. Um, so I think that the shadow dragon fell before the foe appeared.
Okay.
But it was the harbinger of that previous Imperial family's downfall in some ways. So to cleanse that is to, in some ways, deal with the same difficulties that come from the emperor carrying that regalia.
That sounds like a reasonable answer.
All right.
Okay. Let us come to Dawn Chrysanthemum. What do we want to see for your family move?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do one of our grand events, which we
Okay.
can do once per year. I think this will be a festival held at Saigo no Shinkan, which we now have reclaimed.
Absolutely.
And it will be kind of a ceremonial thing to reestablish it as the official clan center. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that sounds perfect. What is your mood?
2.
2. Absolutely.
Oh, I do have disadvantage on this clan move. I have a
Oh, do
note from
you?
last time that says that I do. I can't
Yes.
remember why.
I know that was a cost of one of the clan moves. Now, if you have influence on a minor clan, you could spend that to offset that disadvantage.
Yeah, I will spend it on who are Onyx Plum
Onyx.
builders. Perfect. That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll spend my influence on Onyx Plum. I think they're helping out with this because the sort of centerpiece of the rebuilding effort is a new temple that features like an ever-burning lantern, a kind of symbol of eternal dawn. It's also kind of characteristically a beautiful thing that also has a sort of defensive purpose,
Mm-hmm.
because our light bending duelists will always have this light burning no matter what time of day or night. with which to defend the clan center.
Oh, nice. All right. Let's have you roll with a +2.
And that, I believe, is a 5.
That is. So pick one.
Hmm. I'm going to remove 1 turmoil.
Okay. It is in the midst of that festival. It's going very well. It is calming some of the frayed tempers and things. When the emperor and the emperor's entourage arrive, again, it is the imperial scholars who have a strong sway over the emperor. Of course, he also has the duelists, the imperial duelists, and the emperor arrives and will give blessings for the ceremony, give blessings for the festival, and then will turn to your clan leader, Hanashiro, and says, "We have been consulting the oracles, we have been reading the signs, and the times and the place are auspicious. We have decided that this will be the location of the new imperial capital. We will build our capital here. You will be given a place of preeminence here, but we will build this in the near future for what comes next." How do you think Hanashiro reacts?
Um, I mean, in front of the emperor, of course, she is gracious, but um, behind closed doors, she reacts extraordinarily poorly. Um, because I think she is one of the few that know, again, the details of Suru's dreams, and knows that when Suru saw the streets running red with imperial blood, um, these were the streets that Suru saw.
Absolutely. It is another step on Suru. And let's cut to Suru. When Suru hears word of this, how does Suru react?
That's a great question.
Is he in another city? Is he on the road? Is he in a monastery? Where do we find him at that moment?
I think he is I think he's watching nearby. He sees kind of the flickering of this newly erected eternal light through the trees. Um, and he's sort of watching from the outside, as he often is. Um, I'm not sure he has a huge sort of reaction in the moment, just because this all feels inevitable. Like, to him, he's already seen it. It's almost like it's already happened, and time is just like continuing to march down that road that he's foreseen. Um, I think he feels maybe a deep regret. Um, he's never been in a position where he felt a deep need to prevent one of his dreams from coming true, and he has no idea how he would go about it.
Excellent. Let us come back to Ghost Iris, to your clan. Let's do another round of clan move before we maybe kind of look at bringing the characters together to talk with all these events that have been occurring.
Well, I mean, we've been requested by the Emperor to ensure that the Tengu are ready. I'm not sure how best mechanically to do that. I can meet one of their needs.
Yeah, I think that's actually what is the surplus you will spend to get them ready, to get them to agree and be ready to do this?
Well, that's a different question. Um,
Yeah, that's the right tool for the job. It's a, you don't have to
Yeah.
roll.
yeah. Trying to decide between morale, order, and peace. They all feel like things that this might cost
Yeah,
the clan. Um, let's go with peace because it's upset other people in the empire. So perhaps there are more negative attitudes towards the Ghost Iris after this.
absolutely. And what do we think? What's the montage we see of how your clan is helping getting the Tengu ready? And I believe we established that they are up in the Tengu's gift. Is that what we said that they were at? Or are they somewhere else? I can't remember where we
Do you
put
remember
them.
where the map was? Where's the Tengu's gift on the map?
It is
Just looking.
it is Rhode Island if you were in America, up in the far northeast.
That, I'm not sure because we had established that there was an embassy within the Ghost Iris holdings. So my intention is that it would be there and that we would be helping them to. I'm not even sure what one does to prepare for the Emperor, other than ensuring you have, the correct staff. Maybe we're erecting a new structure outside of our city that will be like a thing owned by the Tengu, but specifically for this use, for receiving the Emperor.
And there are people who are very upset that you would give such primacy to them, that you would give up Ghost Iris lands. There are outside forces that are angry at that. They say that there are enough Tengu here already, and you know this is not their place. They gave it up years ago, and the tensions. I certainly think that your various merchants on the road will come back with stories of how they got the cold shoulder from several places they went to.
It's not exactly how collecting imperial taxes work, but I suspect a lot of people make that connection of why are we giving you money to aid the Tengu?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, simmering below the surface are those cultists. Let's come back to our Brass Wisteria clan.
So I haven't quite figured out how this works mechanically.
Okay.
I think so. I was seeing that one of the one clan that Brass Wisteria has influence on right now is Eternal Sakura, who happen to be crafters and magically gifted.
Yep.
And so my thought was basically to have some sort of meeting of the minds of Eternal Sakura and their sort of magical crafting, the Tengu's swordsmanship, and the Emperor's artisans to perhaps craft. Well, actually, sorry, backing up. The black sword, is that currently with the Tengu or with the Emperor? I think it's with the Tengu, right?
The Tengu
With
were
the
given
Tengu.
the sword.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So my thought was to essentially have between the Tengu and Eternal Sakura and the artisans, craft perhaps a matched set of a katana and a wakizashi or something, a magically imbued set of swords as this sort of cultural piece, taking the clan's magic, the Tengu's swordsmanship, swords craftsmanship. That said, when I go to the mechanics, I'm not sure that use influence is quite right because it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't feel like, I feel like there's something missing there. Use influence is maybe part of it, but there's some other role or something that I haven't quite figured out.
Yeah, let's consider this. Certainly the obvious thing would be some sort of spending of a surplus to get them to do this thing.
Yeah.
So I've already done the read the wind on this, and it does a few things. So I think that to do this, to get this right, because we've got a couple of parties at play in this, it's probably more than just a surplus. I think you need to spend your influence over that clan, and I think you need to choose a surplus that you spend to make this happen.
Okay.
The Tengu are reluctant about this because, and they do ask this, and this is a question I need you to answer: who will hold these swords? Whose swords are these?
Whose swords are these? I think that as a I think as a bridge between the Tengu and the Emperor, perhaps rather than a match set of swords to be carried by one person, that it could be a match set where the Tengu and the Emperor will each hold a pair in common as a symbol.
So the Emperor gets a Tengu made pair, and we get a Imperial made pair that are matching.
Yes.
Doesn't seem very good to us because Tengu blades are much better. But if you think this will do things, then and be better, we'll help. We will help your poor, worthless Imperial smiths to do this. We will show them what they need to do. What do you want to spend surplus wise to get this done?
So I think the surplus that we're going to spend here, so we can't spend the artisans because they're what we're holding for the Emperor.
Yes.
But
you could, but the Emperor would be
that's
upset
not gonna,
at the end of the year.
I think this is basically Batuhan is going to be sort of pulling in all of the Arkai had built up quite a trade network over the course of their leadership of the clan.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening here is Batuhan is really leaning on those sort of merchants to pull in the resources they need from across the empire. And I think it's really just going to sort of maybe not bankrupt exactly, but it's going to really strain those networks to get this to function.
Absolutely. What is the montage of the Imperial artisans and the magical crafters from Eternal Sakura and the Tengu doing this look like?
So I think maybe, let's see, Eternal Sakura are over. Yeah, they're up sort of near. So I think this is probably
could be done at the Forge of the Sun. Got that site up there in the northeast.
Did we? Oh yeah, that's true. That would be a good. Yeah. Yeah, so I think maybe there's a almost a kind of a procession or an entourage from sort of the Eternal Sakura and the, you know, from the Sand Sea, a troop comes down, you know, of Borderlanders with the Tengu, and sort of this whole, you know, you get this whole procession across the kingdom. And then, you know, at the forge, I think, you know, we saw a lot of the like Tengu lightning when they, you know, the lightning dragon, when they were building the sort of, when the lightning dragon was coming out, and they sort of constructed this the you know, with the bones of swords. I think there's sort of it's reminiscent of that. But then I think you also get some of the sort of the influence of the Eternal Sakura, you know, magical crafting, which I think looks more, I don't know, maybe has a more of a kind of an earthen flavor to it.
Mhm.
And then, you know, and then you really the artisans, I think the Emperor's artisans really are coming in more in the form of helping prepare the materials for these sort of the kind of crafters on both sides. And so there's this, you know, there's almost this tent city is the wrong word, but like a kind of this large like project, you know, workshop that where these artisans are sort of working on refining and purifying and
Absolutely.
um,
What color are these blades?
so I think the ones that the Emperor, the ones given to the Emperor, are kind of a dark metal streaked with like a cobalt blue, and they almost sort of flash in the light. And then the ones given to the Tengu have a sort of kind of a deep like a deep green, sort of subtle sheen to them.
Absolutely. And this will go off well. Spend the surplus and the influence, and when the Tengu smiths have finished, you know, they will hand over theirs. They will take that. They will indicate that they will be taking their blades and giving them to the ambassador, the leader that is there at Ghost Iris, for what is to come. And they will travel across the land to deliver those. Crow Azalea. You
You're
are
muted.
so quiet.
So I think that Carzalia does send a contingent of Shugenja to Shadow Valley to see if they can rest this dragon spirit, cleanse it, bring it back, make the right bargains, all of those things. I have no idea what move that would be, though, Lowell.
That is claim by force.
All right. And claim by force is based on reach?
Grasp.
Grasp, I have none. Oh.
Do you wish to? Oh, let's look. You have influence over 2 other clans. You could ask them for aid, or you could ask another clan for aid.
And if I ask for aid, what does that mean that they need to do? Or do I just take the influence away from them? I don't have influence over them.
So if you have influence over someone and you ask them and you spend that influence, you're kind of saying, I'm calling in our marker.
Okay.
And they can choose whether they wish to help you or not. If they do, then they give you an extra die and you roll with advantage. And they potentially suffer any consequences alongside
Yeah.
you.
It's terrible. Well, this is going closest to Ghost Iris's territory, so I suppose I would ask them if they could lend aid. This should mainly be for support, since it is the wilds and that sort of thing. And though we have mages aplenty, we do not have quite the as many handy armsmen that know this area. So we need guides and that sort of thing.
In fact, we established a garrison to protect Shadow Valley 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes,
And we would gladly provide aid to keep the land safe.
excellent.
So
All right.
let's have Crow Azalea roll with a 0, but with advantage.
All right. An 8.
That is an 8. So let us look there. You do get what you want here.
Mhm.
But not without a cost. You have to choose 2 things from that list.
We will give 2 influence to our friends who assisted us. We are indebted. Let's see here.
Are you good with that, Ghost Iris?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I have more than 2 influence? I think there's a limit.
There is a limit.
Because
They have to be able to give you at least 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. I could take 1, but I already had 1. So
Okay.
Okay. It must be able to give a minimum. So I think it's a
So
lost one. So you
yeah.
get you up to two influence.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And then the other one is this is so difficult, Lowell.
I know.
I know. Why don't we just take a need of the GM's choice?
A need of the GM's choice.
Yeah.
Let's look at the resources there. Let's see here what we can. What did we say the warding material was?
The what?
The warding material.
Obsidian?
Obsidian. I think that while this thing fell before the foe fell, there is danger and corruption in going into this place. And you can choose one of 2 things for your need. Either need obsidian to deal with the sort of fallout from this, or need medicine.
Hmm. Here's the thing. Need obsidian makes sense.
Okay.
And there's going to kind of be much of that going on. So sure, let's
Okay.
do need obsidian.
But you will get spirits as a surplus.
All right.
And back to Dawn Chrysanthemum in the wake of this announcement from the Emperor.
Yeah, I think that Hanashiro no Hatse being so kind of caught off guard by this announcement. I think I want to read the wind.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask basically how the clan might help avert Suru's prophecy. And I think how we're going about like finding this information, I think it's actually like all very clandestine. I think
Sure.
Hanashi no Hatsue has maybe a close cousin or a sibling who married into Crow Azalea and has sort of knowledge of the more mystical aspects of life here in the Empire. And she's like having a secret meeting
Okay.
with them and perhaps Suru as well. All very cloak of night. And I would like to spend. Oh, I don't have any influence on Crow Azalea. Well, whatever. I'll just roll reach to read the wind on this. My reach is none.
You can ask Roselia for their aid, even if you don't have influence over it. They can voluntarily give that to you.
Oh, Crozelia, would you aid us in this endeavor?
We are big softies. Yes, we will do that. We too would not like to see a slaughter in your new lovely place that you've built. So
Can also, with your alliance move, you can publicly praise them for their artistry, grace, or good taste and gain influence on them that way.
Right.
yeah.
That's true. Okay, so you're lending aid.
Yes,
Okay.
so you get a die.
I get a die.
So roll with advantage with a 0.
Yes. That's 11.
That's 11.
Very good.
So you have 2 hold. So frame for me what that first question is.
It's sort of a big question, so let me know if you want me to like
Sure.
make it more granular. But I think it really is just like desperation. Like, how do we stop this prophetic dream from coming true?
And I think Suru will see that it is the path is being set, the tiles are being laid in place, and it is those things, those possessions of the emperor that will, if they are not removed from his care, will lead to the downfall. Very, very specifically. It is a helmet. It is a banner, and it is a wakizashi. Those 3 things all have their own power and agenda, and they need to be taken away. And Suru knows that the emperor will not give those up willingly.
Indeed. For my second question, I think I want to ask, how do we get access to these things, but less in like how do we physically gain access, and like what's a bargaining chip that we could use with the emperor that might, if not convince him, because it doesn't sound like he can really be convinced, something that will at least put him on the back foot and perhaps give us an advantage.
He will need to cause a crisis and draw the emperor away so that they are not present, and it has to be done with a certain suddenness so that he can't make arrangements to have the things packed up and brought with him. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yeah, I love that answer.
Let's take our first break, and we're going to come back and bring our PCs together. So I think it makes sense, given the setup here, for us to bring our PCs together. And I imagine that the call will come out to pull these people together. And Suru, I imagine that, like, do you think your daimyo asks you to do this? Does your daimyo tell you to do this? To gather people together?
I think she asks Tsuru. I mean, she doesn't really have to. She didn't have to ask, really. Like he wants to do this, even though he doesn't typically cooperate with the clan's desires.
And I think your daimyo will offer Suru whatever they want if they can do this thing. But also recognize that this may well be the last thing that Suru ever does.
I think Tsuru has inherited some of the arrogance of the Tenko. They believe they can do it without
Okay.
sacrificing too much.
So Asuka, Chiyuki, and we've been going on clan names here for a bit, so I lose all the character names. And Temujin. There is a clandestine calling together of all four of you, with essentially Suru being the one who knows what the deal is at the start. And what do you tell them?
I think he'll say, you asked when last we met about the dream that got me expelled from the Emperor's palace. Circumstances have conspired such that it would be unwise for me to keep that a secret from you any longer. And he will recount in probably unnecessary detail the ins and outs of the dream, what that will mean for Saigo no Shinkan, but also for the Empire's prospects moving forward. He doesn't know exactly who the invading force is in the dream, although perhaps he'll assume that it's the forces of the foe. But he will explain that these artifacts that the Emperor has been collecting, and specifically getting them away from the Emperor, is the key to averting this major disaster.
And there are no people close to the Emperor who would be able to do that? She seems genuinely confused that he doesn't have people that like he trusts it with things that are precious to him in that way. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think Suru would look toward Temujin with sort of wariness in his eyes, or I guess uncertainty. And he'll say, well, I'm not sure that the Emperor trusts fully have his best interests in mind.
I'll do what you need me to do.
What happens to these items afterwards? You're planning to steal from the Emperor. Anybody holding those, they're in a precarious position.
Should be destroyed, shouldn't they?
Yes, I don't think anyone can keep them.
As long as they're destroyed, I will aid you. For the good of the Empire. And for the Emperor. And Chiki's a little confused because she went from trying to leverage Suru into stealing from the Tengu to now working for Suru to steal from the Emperor, which is amazing.
Temujin, what do you say?
I think Temujin is sort of nodding slowly and looking concerned. So I think the concern is coming from just sort of thinking through, you know, if the emperor falls, like his court and, you know, the children she was sent to protect are at risk. And she's also, I think, realizing that I think maybe, as you know, she's been traveling with the court as he's been collecting these items, and I think maybe she's had a chance to sort of observe more of maybe his behavior shifts when he's sort of in their presence, you know, or you know, kind of a growing level of I don't know. I guess I'm not sure how the items might be affecting him kind of on a day-to-day, you know, erraticness or you know, single-mindedness, you know, as he's been kind of collecting these. And so yeah, so she I think will agree to the plan and offer that she may be able to help them pass unseen or unimpeded, at least part of the way, to the items.
So it seems like there are two tasks at hand here. One of them is the question of how you create a occurrence or an event or a tragedy that draws the emperor away for long enough that and with haste such that the four of you can make your way in. If Temujin is probably the lead person on the infiltration aspect of it when we come to that portion of things, of the other three of you, who do you think is the person who is creating the distraction or using their clan to create the distraction? Oh, the hesitation. I imagine that this is the silence that hangs over the meeting as well when it comes to this issue. Like, someone has to do this.
Yes.
And it's not just putting themselves at risk, it is potentially putting their clan at risk.
I think
Well, which clan do we even trust to bring in on this?
Well, I think Tsuru would turn to Chiyuki and say, well, you've been itching to fight with a Tengu, have you not? Perhaps. Perhaps we could be convinced, we meaning the Tengu, of course, to stage a duel, a battle, an uprising, not sure what you would want to call it, but appearing to have warlike intention, as so many of your clans believe we already do. Perhaps that threat of invasion, he does air quotes, might call the Emperor and his troops away for long enough that we can take what we need.
You think the Tengu will fight?
Tengu love to fight.
Excellent. I can get Uncle Tak to ask the Emperor for aid, personally. It'll be an embarrassment to him, having just convinced the Emperor to host with the Tengu at the end of the year.
Yes, it will.
The Emperor has been looking outside the kingdom for a dragon to claim as his own. Perhaps it would be even more convincing if the Tengu appeared to have a dragon that he could somehow claim. Otherwise, why would he go to the battle himself? Asuka, you've performed magics. You've been the closest to a dragon of all of us. Could you
Yes.
make a convincing simulacrum?
And she sort of stops and she goes, yes, I would have to undertake some study, but certainly I know the shape, the form, and the temper of the thunder dragon. And she kind of goes, we do have the spirit of the shadow dragon that they've cleansed and made ready. If we're going to do this, it's an ideal time to get him to take control of the situation by calling the Imperial dragon then. It's a certain amount of manipulation, and I'm not very good at that. Wasn't the rest of you. So I hope some of you are, okay? But and she kind of, I think she looks at Suro and she goes, are we enough, or do we need to bring others in as well?
Have you no confidence in our abilities?
It is only because I have confidence in your abilities that I asked the question.
I think this task is of such importance that we can only work with those we most closely trust. And his eyes sort of flit around I imagine most of us sitting in a circle. And again, there's some uncertainty there. Like he's not really sure that that you all are the ones that he most trusts in the world. But I think he'll like give a resolute nod. So I think our capabilities will have to do.
So there are two parts to this first setup of a two-part thing. Those two parts are getting the Tengu to fight with the Ghost Iris, and then also creating some illusion that draws the Emperor's attention, in addition to suggest the possibility of an Imperial dragon. Am I right in that? And then once that has been put into motion, then it is the four of you making your way in to retrieve these from the Imperial holding. All right. So tell me, Chiyuki, when the head of Ghost Iris, I mean, is it that Chiyuki brings them in on this? How is it that they do this?
Is the intention that Tsuru will convince the Tengu to act out? In other words, I don't know that I can convince Takashi to force the Tengu into a bad place. He's doing everything in his power at the moment to bring them over to the Empire. So for the plan to work, I think Chiyuki needs for Tak to be responding to a situation.
So then let's start with this. Suru, who amongst the Dawn Chrysanthemum clan, like, how is that arrangement for the Tengu to involve himself in this being made? Who is doing that? I think move-wise, what we're rolling with this is probably subterfuge to get that into play. That seem reasonable, Suru?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's Tsuru himself who's making the ask of the Tengu.
Okay. In that case, let's have you roll sleight.
And I do have the character move Free Agent, part of which says whenever your house follows up your actions with a subterfuge attempt, the roll has advantage. Is that
That is absolutely the place where this would apply.
okay? Fantastic.
So roll sleight with advantage.
Yeah.
Look at that. So that's an 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the picks, one of the hold is to get the Tengu on board for this plan. And then you can pick something else.
Yeah, I think Dawn Chrysanthemum will remove any trace of their own involvement.
Okay.
Yeah.
are you framing someone else for this?
Oh, interesting. Little imp
Imperial
enemy
scholars, they
feels
need to
like
go down.
they do. Um, yeah, let's frame the Imperial scholars.
Okay. We'll come to exactly what that looks like in a moment.
Cool.
And then to face them, it is Ghost Iris. So what does that look like?
So yeah, I mean, given that we want to have the Emperor personally respond, can I request can I use the favor of the Emperor?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is a clan move, right?
Yes.
Because as a result of my previous clan move, I should have hang on. Let me sort out in my brain how all this works. Ghost arrows have to move rationing, so when they lose a surplus, they gain advantage on the next clan move. I lost a surplus in the previous thing because I gave it to the
Right.
Tengu to try and set them up, so I should have advantage on this.
Yeah. Your favor is a +1 right now?
Let's roll it and see what happens. That's 12.
That is a 12. So we'll come to that in a moment. And then Asuka, you're using your clan's magics, or are you doing this personally without your clan's knowledge to create this?
I actually need my clan because I need access to the spirits. If that makes any sense, so that
Yeah.
we can actually set it up so the Emperor can do it. And they know that regalia that he has is a problem. So it is like we're separating him from the regalia.
Then to do this, I think you need to spend a hold from subterfuge. So let's have you make a subterfuge roll.
I need to a subterfuge. Why? What can I do to make that better? Oh,
You can, do you have influence over a minor clan? Do you want to bring them in?
I don't know.
If you only have influence over Dawn Chrysanthemum.
Yeah. They're really good at subterfuge, though.
Do you want to spend your influence and get them to help?
I will ask. We will ask sincerely. We have helped them. We need their help in order to pull this off, to save their capital.
Yes, absolutely. We will help.
Okay.
All right. Then roll sleight with advantage.
Okay. I better look at my terrible stats again and weep a little. Oh, yes. It's a -1. That's rolling 3d6. Taking the two best and then subtracting 1 from it. So it ends up at a 9. Not
It is a
terrible.
9. So you can generate 1 hold to do the thing. You can generate a second hold to hide your involvement, but you have to pick a cost.
Okay, I will pick the cost. Let's see here. These are the clan moves, right?
Yep. Under subterfuge.
Okay.
Seems to me your only real choice is that second option.
Oh, yes, it is. We don't like that though. But yeah. More turmoil. How much turmoil have we? Are we like about ready to kill the project?
No.
No?
That's the Project Doom track. Turmoil just means that things are not going well in the Empire and people are angry and upset. And when you hit 5 turmoil, you're at 4 right now, then there's a tick put 1 tick put on the Doom track, and logistics becomes harder.
Just quit smiling when you say that. Okay. So, all right, we will do that.
So I imagine that we see that the the rumblings and the uh, 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 put upon sort of cause of war, a duel between the Tengu and Ghost Iris, kind of out of nowhere, with runners quickly dispatched to the Emperor to inform them of the presence of a dragon and this dangerous duel going on, threatening the stability of the bond between the Tengu and the Emperor. And so we will see that crackle of that. We see the forces, the storm clouds over when we've got the sort of pseudo dragon in the sky, and the Tengu and the Ghost Iris forces kind of standing off in this, and the Emperor's forces departing the stronghold. And I think as the last horses leave, that's when we see Temujin. Now, I wish you to, before we get to anything else here, we're going to do kind of the approach roll here. And then we'll come to the full zoom in. So if Temujin could please roll cross great distances, which is done with an appropriate stat.
All right. Well, I think the appropriate stat here is cunning. So
Okay.
gonna roll a 2d6 plus 1. And that is a 10.
That is a 10. So you will arrive at this fortress. In the distance, we can see the storm dragon images and so on, but we are far away from there. There are guards on the walls. There's rain coming down, and it's the four of you. You have made your way past the outer scouts, and you've approached this place. And so we are zoomed in on you four. What I'd like a sense of what we see here in the rain and the dark and so on. What is Temujin look like? Is she in her element? Is she worried? Is she dressed differently? What do we see there?
So I think the approach, well, let me just let me ask a question here. So these regalia that the Emperor has left, which when we say the fortress, the Emperor has been still traveling, or had the Emperor settled down? I'm like
Emperor
trying
is
to
still
remember what we.
traveling, but he goes from secure locations to secure
Right.
locations.
Okay.
So this is a fortress, not the greatest, not the grandest, but it is an
Mhm.
armed place.
Okay. So my thought here is that Temujin knows the way of the Imperial Court and sort of all of the players, and I think at least the first sort of the I think her goal is going to be to essentially bluff her way in with the use, like disguise herself as a higher ranking member of the Emperor's court.
Right. So
And
we see you more in a courtier's outfit, probably with a umbrella and cover over to keep that, but you certainly don't look like the Temujin that we've seen before on screen. And so likewise, how is Suru dressed?
I think Tsuru would be in a similar disguise to Temujin. Maybe she was able to procure a similar outfit for him. And because no one at Imperial Court has seen him without his sort of feathered cowl covering his face for quite some time, like since he was, a young adolescent. They wouldn't recognize him, even though he spent so much time among the emperor and his people.
That seems good. And Chiyuki, how do you appear dressed? Are you dressed as a courtier, as a samurai guard to them, as something else?
Yeah, so I'm in two minds about this because I kind of like the idea of Chuki being wildly uncomfortable in a courtier's outfit. But I'm also concerned about what happens after this, and so I think she is dressed as a guard. Maybe Temujin has secured an Imperial uniform for her to wear, which she feels very dishonest wearing, even though
Yes.
she's very much for the Emperor. She does not work directly for him, so it's not right for her to be wearing this.
And Asuka?
I have somehow imagined that my role is in some ways to be a distraction. But if I'm supposed to be sneaking with you guys, just say the word. But I think it makes sense that, I don't know, I show up in some ridiculous manner and come asking for where has the emperor gone and that sort of thing. And try to keep
So
people
people
busy
will
with
know that Asuka was here when these things vanished.
Yeah.
They will.
Okay. We will keep
But
that in mind.
they'll also know she wasn't where the fake dragon was, so that's helpful.
So you approach the gates. Temujin, you've got to move for this.
I do indeed. So that's a plus cunning.
Okay.
So that's 12.
That is a 12. So you'll be able to make your way in through the gates there. You will come in here. One of the things you'll realize is that, like, the Emperor moves. You've made your way in. You've got some run of this for a bit, but you're not sure where these things are. So let's come around to Asuka then, after Temujin has gotten you inside. Still the sound of the rain and the storm out there, but you can also feel the dripping of the sands through the hourglass.
I've been hearing those running for years now. There's not that many left in the upper sandbags. Yes. So I'm not with them, right? This is me causing a distraction, or am
No,
I
the
with them?
distraction you've already created.
Oh, okay, awesome. Then let's find these items.
Okay.
I think that just seems like a lovely question, doesn't it?
Okay.
So
are you using magic to do this, or are you talking to people, or what?
I think I would use magic.
Okay.
Yeah. So
this is a makeshift ritual.
yes.
You will not suffer disadvantage at it because of your background.
Okay.
So let's have you roll lore.
Okay. And that is 2, if I remember correctly. Yep. Okay. 2d6 plus 2. So a 7.
So a 7. So it will do roughly what you want, and you get to pick one blessing.
Ooh. Okay. I'm sorry, is that on the character moves?
Oh, that's on the enactor rituals, the very last of the tabs there, because I didn't have enough tabs. So I wanted to put
Okay.
another tab.
Thank you. Okay, that's cool.
Yo dog.
Yo
I hear
dog.
you like tabs.
So, oh, this is good. So the blessings are the magic does exactly what I desire, no more, no less.
Okay.
Um,
So that's the one blessing you're going to get.
okay, thanks. And then how many bad things?
Then I only get one bad thing.
Okay.
I think that you will know where it is. This is a fortress with upper stories, a couple of levels up. You'll know that it is there. But I think that you can also hear this growling sound of a guardian beast. The heavy breathing of a food dog left there to defend the place. Does that feel reasonable?
Yes,
Okay. So I assume you inform your compatriots.
I do. I'd say there is a food dog. He is close enough to the celestial powers to be able to have one of those in his service.
And we scare it off. I don't want to kill the Emperor's dog.
And she sort of stops and goes, "You can't precisely scare a food dog. They are." Can I distract it?
We'll have to see once you get closer, won't we?
Yes, we will.
So Chiyoki, Suru, what are you two like as this is being made, as this progressing through here? What is it that you are doing to advance the mission?
I think Chiki has one eye on everyone else, trying to make sure that we're not being noticed. She's kind of prepared to defend the party, potentially lethally if need be. So she's probably wandering around with the thumb just under the hilt of her sword, just ready to pop it. But she's also concerned, I think, that she's been tricked into doing this, and that these people have broken into the Imperial camp for reasons other than what they've stated. So I think she's got one eye on everyone else and one eye on her allies.
Absolutely. Because certainly if you are caught here, that will be very bad for you in many ways. And Suru, what do we see about you as you're moving along through here?
Speaking of being here for purposes other than what was explicitly stated, um, I think as we're moving, Suru is also keeping his eyes peeled, but more so for hints, clues, to where the Emperor might be keeping any remaining Tengu artifacts he has in his possession.
Absolutely. So I think that I want to do this sort of next part, Temujin, with you kind of leading the group up and through. Does that seem reasonable?
Sure.
That feels like bravery to me.
Yep.
So let's have you roll.
Okay. That's 12.
That is a 12. So the four of you will make your way through with disguises, with careful action. You're going deeper into the Imperial household. Here, you can sense each step, Chiyuki, is one step further in and one step further to get out of this if this goes so wrong. It does seem to you like Temujin, like she is in her element here. And Saru is certainly following along, the two of you both kind of watching everything warily here. Yes, exactly. The journey of treason begins with one step. And we will eventually find you. There are two obstacles that lie in the way right now. One is that there are some guards there on that sort of final entryway, meaning that either they need to be dealt with in some way, or you need to climb the outside of the building to get up to the floor. And then, once you get up there, you have to deal with the food dog. Temujin, you've been a spearhead on this. Do you turn to the others at this moment?
I think, yeah, I think sort of seeing this, the guards, she turns and I don't think our disguises will get us through this on their own. I could almost certainly make it to the top myself, but I can't handle the food dog if I were to get there. Unless someone has a better idea, I think we need to I mean, we're either going to need to draw. I don't know if we can draw these guards off without bringing more guards running. I don't know. I think this step to get all of us through is beyond my abilities.
I can take care of the food dog.
Very well.
So
I believe I can take care of the guts. But as soon as the first body hits the floor, the hourglass is turned.
Will we be able to destroy these artifacts here?
Oh, no. You need to get out with these.
Mhm.
And just because I put it on the map at the very first session 0, we need to take them to the Forge of the Sun, obviously.
Yeah.
Or at least the cavern or the crevasse right
The
next
hungry
to it. right?
crevasse.
Yes. Throw 'em in there.
Very Mount
We haven't fed it
Doom-esque.
this entire campaign.
So
hungry.
So Chiyuki, are you getting ready? Are you going to move in and deal with these guards?
I'm gonna try.
Okay. Well, don't forget, if you do not get the role you want, you can always call for aid.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have you roll with might.
Last time this went badly, I had help from Tsuru. So hang on, because I have equipment that I want to check off for this.
Oh,
I've just
excellent.
clicked on seven incorrect tabs in a row. Yeah, what the heck? I'm considering whether or not she would use a Tetsubo for this and try and be less lethal.
That is a question.
Although hitting somebody with a Tetsubo is pretty
Still pretty
damaging.
lethal.
Still pretty lethal. But
Also
less
with
lethal than hitting them with a tachi or a katana or something. All right. Yes, I will try that. I would like to not kill these people if at all possible.
Okay.
So with bravery, you said, right? Bravery or
With might.
Might. Okay, good. And a gear gives me another one.
Yep.
A total of +3. This will be fine. Everything's fine.
I'm actually going to have
Double
you go
ones.
back. We're going to do that roll again because the gear gives you an extra die, gives you advantage.
Ah,
So you should actually roll. You can choose whether you want to re-roll everything or you want to roll an extra die.
I rolled 2 ones, so I definitely want to re-roll everything.
Okay, then re-roll everything. Because it could still go horribly awry, and it'll make me so happy if it still happens badly. So okay.
Sorry, Lowell, the dice say no.
Ah,
It's an 11.
that is an 11. So you've achieved your goal. Like on a hit, you rush up on them, weapon out, strike them, knock them down. You will pick 2 from that list. They are out, so you don't need to worry about the savage, terrifying harm or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, can I scavenge a useful piece of gear?
Yeah, what would you like? What do you get off of them?
I don't know. I already have a weapon.
Okay.
I guess maybe do they have something that will help with dealing with the food dog that I can give to Asuka that will help?
Oh,
with
I
that
think they
situation?
probably
have
do
like
have some kind of Imperial symbol on them that might be useful. That might have some empathetic connection. I think to give her advantage on that. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
I do think that there is going to be a changing of the guards.
Okay.
And I think that that's the issue that we have here right at this point.
Mhm.
And so you will get upstairs, hide the bodies away, tie them, hide them, rush up to this next floor, and you can look in the chambers, and you will see that there are various Imperial things around here. It's a gathering place. It is a place that is a storeroom, clearly for viewing these things and walking around. And there is this enormous orange, red, and yellow, great stone-looking guardian dog there. So, Asuka, how do you deal with this food dog?
I am going to what do you say? You can't put him to sleep because food dogs don't sleep, but I can mesmerize him. And I think that that's what I will do.
Okay.
I have the little symbol that gives me the association with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I would use that. And yeah, I will cast
That's a ritual.
ritual.
You roll it with advantage.
Okay. 86 and then adding 2
And
are the best. So that's 12.
that is a 12. So again, you get to pick one. Actually, 2
Okay.
picks. You get to pick
2
2
picks.
things.
Oh, good. All right. So let's see here. It does exactly, let's see here. Oh gosh, I'm gonna say that the magic is more powerful than normal because
Okay.
there's like like sympathy in the room,
Okay.
if that makes any
Yeah.
sense
So you'll
for
definitely
them.
like it is held in place. It'll move out of your way. You have it mesmerized. It's
Okay.
not, it's not just that it's going to sit there. Like you can get it out of the way. It can keep it avoiding and have it for the whole time. What's the other blessing you want?
Um, I think I'm going to select 2 Banes that you can't choose,
Okay.
and I'm gonna take away someone you care for suffers, and that I leave a cursed mark on the site.
Okay.
So there's still plenty of horribleness that you could choose from, but at least not those 2.
Absolutely. I think that you're casting this magic here. There's that great magic of the storm dragon elsewhere. And I think the wind and the storm picks up and becomes howling and shaking and screaming. Suru, you are in this room. Do you wish to look around?
Yes, I do.
Then you may roll study if you wish.
Indeed. What is my lore? 1. And I can, if I mark a piece of gear
Mm-hmm.
that's relevant, I would get advantage, right?
Yes,
Give me 1 second just to look
sure.
if there is anything. Um, no, it's okay. I think it'd be a stretch.
Okay. That's still 11. That's 2 hold.
Amazing.
So you can ask a question or you can declare a detail. You've got 2 hold for that.
I'll ask a question first, and then I might declare a detail based on what you
Okay,
tell me.
sure.
Yeah, what artifacts of the Tengu remain in the Emperor's holdings?
Oh, I think uh that there is a piece of there is a set of robes there that look ancient and are marked with the mark of the Tengu that are clearly sacred ceremonial robes of the Tengu. They're kind of displayed out, um, and they vibrate with a certain magical energy. And a question or a declaration?
Yes, I'm gonna make a declaration. I think it is a key part of Tengu myth that um the Tengu who fits these robes perfectly will be the one to lead the Tengu in their victory over the Empire. And of course, Tsuru is draping the robe on his own body at this very moment.
Easiest
Um,
way to get them out of here, yes.
indeed, right. And he's noticing as he pulls the sleeves onto his arms, onto his wings, excuse me, um, that it fits him as though it was made for him.
Like a glove. Uh, uh Temujin, our scout, uh, I think I want you to make a roll to be able to locate and get access to the items here.
It's probably a study roll, huh?
No, I think
it's not?
this is a
Okay.
disarm roll. I think this is bravery.
Oh, perfect. I'll take a bravery roll over a study roll.
Yeah,
That's a 10.
that is a 10. So you will be able to find these things. They are there. The banner, which is fairly large. That helmet is easily put into a pack. And I think we said the breastplate, right? No. Was it Wakizashi?
Wakazashi.
Yeah, it was
Wakizashi.
Wakazashi.
So easy enough to take. The banner is probably the one that's most problematic here at this point.
And that's the kind that has the two sticks out from it,
Yep,
like
a back banner.
okay. Well, yeah, that's a tough one, but I suppose always. I mean, here's the thing, it's a back banner, so it's not like it goes all the way to the ground. It
Right.
only is this thing. So you can put it on your back, but put it across your back. So I have a cloak on. I will put it underneath my cloak.
It will absolutely not fit underneath your cloak, but I
Oh,
like
well,
I
dang
like
it.
your optimism about that.
I was very optimistic.
I think you could strap it to your back like crosswise,
All right.
and it just have to move through doorways carefully with it.
All right. All right. That sounds great.
Temujin, I do think that there is a bit, and the roll that you just made was not a roll to find these things, because that was pretty easy, and to open it up was pretty easy. It was for you to not immediately want to hold these things forever when you touch them. And you will keep your mind and your spirit here as you do this. Chiyuki, what do you do as you see them ransacking the Emperor's goods?
I think she's wildly uncomfortable with this, and I'm considering whether or not she would confront Zero over taking the robes, because I think that is not what we came for.
What do you do?
I think she will be standing in the doorway because she's protecting our escape, and I think she sees this going on, and she just slowly draws the katana at her waist. We came for 3 things. We leave with 3 things.
Suru catches Shuki's eye. And there's a sort of mischief on his face now. Like all of the gravity and the uncertainty before was something of a performance, a type of preening almost. And I think he simply says, another Tengu idiom comes to mind. 2 stones, 1 bird. The Emperor has so much he won't miss it.
We are here to protect the Emperor, not to rob him.
I completely agree. I'm simply taking back this fine robe he borrowed all those years ago.
It's not yours to take.
And what will you do if I walk out with it?
I asked you once if you thought you deserved to die. If you walk out of here with that, I will know the answer.
Hmm. Are there any windows in this room?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. I think Tsuru, um, Tsuru is walking toward Chuki, not in a threatening way. And
Mhm.
she can see his hands, like he's not armed. Um, I think
Let me ask you
you.
this, sir.
Mm,
We have a mechanic for this.
mm-hmm.
We have a question that is at stake here. Big question between two characters, neither of which want to back down. Seems to me that Chiyuki was the one who kind of started this challenge here. So we're going to look at this. The question is issue. Okay. And basically what this is that Chiyuki will make an offer about what they're willing to give up to win, to have them be able to kind of narrate what happens. And then you can take that, or you can offer a counter offer, essentially. And if neither of those is taken, we go to a roll. And that roll is just a flat fortune roll. So, Mike, Chiyuki, what are you willing to offer Suru's player to have this settled in some way?
I mean, the easy answer is to alienate Tsuru. Does the alienate someone offer? So obviously, well, it is likely we would not remain friends after this exchange.
So you're offering that you're saying the one thing you offer them, if, and you can offer multiple things, is that this will shatter their friendship permanently if Saru will back down and leave the robe. Is right? That's the issue at play here.
Okay, well, if I can offer multiple things, then
Sure.
I would offer I would offer the permanent injury or scar as well. Tsuru can seriously damage Chiyuki in this exchange. As long as she wins.
Saru, you can accept that, or you can reject that, or you can make a counter offer.
Oh, interesting. I want to make a counter offer. I'm looking at these ideas for what to offer. Um, if Suda's allowed to leave unharmed with the robe, I am happy for him to accidentally leave behind some evidence that Dawn Chrysanthemum was part of this ruse, which Chiyuki and her clan could use to their advantage to cozy up to the Emperor in the aftermath of this. Or maybe just Chiyuki personally, if she doesn't want to aggrandize Takashi.
Yeah, I'm wondering what that looks like. Is that we exchange blows and Tsuru gets past and runs? Or are you looking for Chiyuki to agree to allow you to keep the thing?
Yeah, I suppose it's I don't think Suda can best Chiyuki in pure just like one-on-one combat. Um, but I could see him maybe employing some kind of trick and running, like escaping.
Mm-hmm.
Chiyuki.
All right, I'll take it. I think it's good for the story.
So what is the device that you use, Saru? I mean, Chiyuki staying there, ready to do it. What is it that you do? What happens that gives you that opening for you to bolt from here?
Mm. Oh, I think I have something interesting. Is there like a recurring dream that Chiyuki has that she wouldn't ever have told anyone about that maybe like means something important to her? Or is just like kind of emotionally intimate in some way? Because perhaps Suru has seen it and kind of evokes it in the moment and kind of Chiyuki freezes up, right?
What would Suru say or reference that would make you freeze up for a moment, Chiyuki?
I think Chiyuki found the body of her grandfather and was still unclear as to whether or not he was alive. But I imagine she has nightmares about this. That she will think that she's waking up and be in her room and her grandfather will be standing there, but then she actually wakes up like he's not really there.
And I think this is rather cruel, but I think he does his best approximation of the expression that your grandfather wears in those brief moments in your dream. And he like kind of rasps out a whisper of your voice right near your ear in the same tone that your grandfather uses. And once you've kind of frozen up or, you know, you're taken aback, he takes that opportunity to sprint to leave.
Rushes out, heads down, and I think that while you can rush to get to a window to get out, Suru, I do think that there are guards that are changing, and I think there is that this is the situation has escalated in this. Temujin, you see Suru vanishes, you see Chiyuki startle, and then like Chiyuki, do you run down? You're hearing the guards, or do you stay with your duty here? Like, what do we see on screen in this moment?
Oh no, I think she goes after Tsuru.
Okay. And I think you see that. And suddenly Asuka, Temujin, the two people who were here to help you with this have vanished out into this. I imagine we would see a kind of a chase sequence, and now the hue and cry as the guards are do this. Probably the clang of metal as Chiyuki like knocks some of them aside to try and get at Suru as Suru, leaps out into the storm, slide clambering down the outside of the castle. What do the two of you do?
I turn to Temujin and I go, oh, you're very kindly given us a distraction. What do you suggest? I'll follow you.
Yeah, so I think I mean Temujin's first instinct here is to take advantage of the distraction, like look for an unused corridor or some other, trying to just sort of stay out of the commotion, stick to the shadows. I don't think she'd really like. So I think if it were just her, that would be enough of a plan. With Asuka in tow and her giant unwieldy banner, I think there's perhaps needs to be more to it than just that.
Seems reasonable. Let's see here. Well, I do have a blessed outfit, so I could use that. Something that essentially, even though it looks like a very ordinary robe, when she actually goes to move, even though you know that thing is under there, it maybe just like form fits to her. It is magically just her robe, and it forgives all of those things. If I need to roll low, I can do that.
No,
So
yeah, so you can have the stuff concealed. How are you getting out of here?
yeah,
So
I'm just I mean, we'll step out of this room. We'll make sure we'll leave the room ajar because clearly someone was wearing the Tengu outfit out the door.
right.
We'll go. Just like, where do you want to go?
So Temujin, how are you getting the two of you? I mean, there are guards coming. This room has been opened. Asuka, you still have control of the foo dog there. So what do we see you do, Temujin?
Yeah, so I think the I think Temujin's gonna pull the classic trick, and she's got the the wide courtier sleeves, and she reaches into one and pulls out just pulls out a smoke bomb.
Okay.
And drops it just to give them enough clearance, sort of in the confusion with all the guards, to get for the two of them to slip out. So the guards have come up, right? There's been this commotion up the top floor, and we're trying to get out of that and down. So that will be my
I think
specialized
that is
tools.
disarm with specialized tools. Roll bravery.
All right. 11.
An 11. So Suru, narrate to me how you get out and get away, and what cost you pay in the fleeing here.
I think so. Suda's being chased by both the guards and Chiyuki, right?
Yeah, I imagine you've gone out the window. The guards are not going to follow you down the outside the building. I assume Chiyuki will, in the storm and rain and lightning and thunder, but you will get away ahead. So what do we see, and like what cost do you pay?
Ooh, I think that underneath the now let's see. I kind of like the idea that we see him sort of disappear out the window for a moment, and it's like almost as though he just like took flight and flew away. But then we see him kind of like scrambling down the side of the building, like not particularly gracefully. Um, with his like fingernails getting all bloodied and whatnot. And I think when he's down there, almost clear of everything, and he's kind of looking up and behind to see if Chiyuki is still on his tail. We see that there's a rip down the side of the robe that he's wearing, which is a shame because it mars the beauty of the robe, of course, but also because symbolically it represents a stain, something that will mar the reign of he who fit the robe.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Chiyuki, you lose Suru, but what do we see in the chase and the progress there?
I think she's just incredibly focused and full of anger at being betrayed in this way. And I think she is pushing herself harder than she probably should to try and catch up to Tsuru, but he has too much of a lead. And I think I would like to leave her in custody, in Imperial custody. I think of the 4 people that came in, she's the one that gets caught.
Okay. There will be that. Asuka, Temujin, you two will get away. You will see Suru has vanished, but I think as you two are at that point where you can leave the fortification, you've got the things with you, you will see that those, that sort of spear cage down there in the courtyard with all of these troops, and they have Chiyuki. About a dozen of troops. They've actually captured her, in the rain. They've kind of put her pressed down with the spear points and the blades there.
I mean, she'll fight them, but because she's unwilling to kill them, she cannot win against them.
I think Temujin sees that wordlessly takes the wakizashi and the pack with the helm off and hands them to Asuka, and then heads back, uncertain what exactly how she's going to help, but determined to free her friend, to help, to not, at least to not leave her friend there to suffer for the rest of their actions.
Asuka, the Empire is at stake.
And I am the loyal.
Yes.
I go.
Now we go to epilogues. Suru, what is your epilogue here in the near future or the far future? Or it's reasonable to me if you would like others to go before you. I think that there's a certain question of that. So but what would you like?
This is someone else mind going ahead of me.
Asuka, can I go with you first?
Sure. I think you have a montage of Asuka traveling. She goes roundabout. There's a certain point where, she walks like everything's fine and normal, and she's like leaving the thing. And as soon as she's out of there, she sort of summons the storm kami, the different storm kami to carry her. It is how she traveled like over the seas when she went to the mirror and all that stuff. So she's familiar with this. It uses up a ton of her energy, but it will get her away, and it will get her to the forge faster. And I think that's it, is that it is sort of a thing of, it keeps kind of fading to dark. You see her like going until she's too exhausted. The kami are too exhausted. She sort of collapses, gets back up, does it again until she gets to the forge. At that point, you have this very much this thing of a whole set of her clan's folk waiting. They essentially take over and take those things from her. They make sure that they're destroyed, but they sort of pull her in, and they're like briefing her for what has to happen in order for the blessing and all of this stuff to work with with the emperor, and they're kind of like pumping her through with this, and you can see she's just so exhausted. And she goes, and I go, the rest of you can do your thing, and we'll do the epilogue then after. I'll finish that last little bit. Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Chiyuki, Temujin, I think you're like there's a certain tie of destiny there. But Chiyuki, you are captured, or does Temujin? Okay. Temujin, are you captured as well? Or is it that you're unable to get Chiyuki out of there? Or something else?
I think that depends on Chiyuki. I think Temujin essentially puts herself in enough danger that if probably the sacrifice here is that I think either Chiyuki has to sort of use her full force to get the both of them out, or they're probably both captured.
If that is the question at stake, Chiyuki, what path do you take?
I really want to end with Cheeky in a cell. So
Then
I think
yeah, okay.
I think she is captured because she will not kill the Emperor's men. It's she is too loyal to the Emperor to start murdering other people that are loyal to the
It
Emperor.
is that slow motion water rain as the spears come down. Your eyes lock with Temujin as the she is knocked down, and the two of you are captured by the Emperor's forces. Chiyuki, what is your epilogue?
So I think it is one of those somewhere in a cell underground, ignored and forgotten by most people. She is just kneeling in the shadows and waiting for her moment when she can have her revenge against Tsuru. She shifted all of her attention. She still absolutely hates the Tengu, and this has not made it any better. And now all of that is focused on Tsuru. And I think as she kneels, in the corner of the room is the shadow of her grandfather, standing and waiting expectantly.
Nice. Temujin.
I think having been captured, stealing, as part of this, stealing from the Emperor's court, I think this leads to essentially an unraveling of Temujin's espionage activities, which in turn, I think actually leads to sort of I don't know if expulsion is quite the right word, but essentially the border, like I think Temujin herself, well, I don't know if she's just sort of permanently imprisoned or executed as a spy or something, perhaps similarly.
I think enough pull is made from your clan, apologies and so on. I think you will be released, but your daimyo will say you must leave the empire and you may never return.
Yeah, I like that.
We will give you a mount, but you must go. Tsuru, what is your epilogue?
I think we see a montage of a few quick scenes. The first, I think, is one of the guards in the aftermath of the theft of the regalia, finding an intricate gold necklace, known to be worn only by kind of high-ranking officials or close relatives of the daimyo of Don Chrysanthemum. Not many of these are made. Even fewer of them are worn. And it is incontrovertible proof that someone of the clan has been there and participated in this treasonous act. But as that is happening, we see Tsuru returning barefoot and bloody to the Tengu. And there is a sort of collective cawing of shock, of recognition of this sumptuous robe after all this time. And I think recognition of what it means regarding Tsuru's relationship to the Tengu moving forward. And as Tsuru's bare feet sort of kick up the sand as he approaches, the image sort of shifts to like sands of time in an hourglass, and we sort of go back in time to the dream that Tsuru had nearly a decade ago when he was just a child, which was not, in fact, a dream of streets running red, nor of the Emperor's death, at least not in exactly the way he described it. I think he learned very early the power of a convenient fiction. I think instead we see simply Tsuru settling into the throne, draped in silk and feathers, with the Emperor's head in his lap.
That is the dream you had. Whether it will come true is another story. Asuka, you said you wanted to do one last little bit here.
Yeah, I think that through all of that, just going, all those hours, she keeps going. And in the end, she ends up and she knows she's there because she can see the thunder dragon. And it actually turns to look at her because it knows what's coming. And she alights from her cloud, like literally lands in front, and comes to the, like towards the Emperor. And when people sort of step in between her and those things, she raises her hand like this, and the form of the shadow dragon appears, and it is just the form of it, but it raises up, and you see the two dragons sort of like face off. They don't fight, they coil in the skies. And Asuka stops and says, I have brought you the dragon that will talk to you, Emperor. You can make it the celestial dragon if you are ready.
Don't think we get an answer from the Emperor there, but I think we do see the Emperor looking up into the skies, and I think that's where we cut. And that's our end. That's our end of our episode. Trying to hit the beats there as much as we could there. I would like to go around and do a quick stars. I want to say I want to go. I really enjoyed this. Like, I love these characters. I was so glad we were able to do a move forward, because I do think that's one of the most interesting parts of Legacy and Free from the Yoke. And I appreciate everybody coming along on me trying out this very rough reskinning of this. There's still some places where there's some leftovers from previous versions, but then there's also some mechanics that, like, I've kept the old version, and they could be stronger. They could be more interesting. There could be more options to them. So this was really useful to me in going through this. Stars. Elle?
Oh gosh. Yeah. What an action-packed final session. This is a lot of fun. I mean, the whole run was a lot of fun. I really loved seeing the very different the way the dynamics between the two groups of characters that we had over the course of our series, how different they ended up being. And I'm really sad we don't get to see some of the fissures and uh the horrible things we set up in this session come to fruition. I think it would be really fun, but it will exist in our imaginations. Um, and yeah, I think it was my first time playing with all of you.
Yeah.
Um, and it was really great to meet you all. I hope I get to play with you all again.
Awesome. I guess thank you. I had a really good time with your characters. I appreciated how different the two were, and I appreciate you built on some things that you set up from the first age. It was really, really sharp, really sharp. That's true for all of the character changes, and even the change that Asuka kind of made in between ages was really strong. Mike?
Yeah, I have had an absolute blast with this. Lol, how can I send you money and own a copy of this game? I want to play in it again. I want to run it again. I want to do it with these characters. I want to do it with different characters. I love it. I think it's
Oh,
fantastic.
good. Go good. I'm glad you dug it.
I wanted to start particularly the duel between Chuki and Suru. I think it was a tense moment, and it was mechanically well supported without spending a long time on actually going through it. So I like those short duel mechanics. It's kind of make a tough and meaty decision, and then the other person makes a tough and meaty decision, and then we're done, and we move on with the story. And I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I'm well, no, I'm very happy with how the story ended for Chuki. So I'm sorry that I dragged Temujin along. But yeah, I have thoroughly enjoyed playing with everybody at the table, and it is hard to find one particular thing to star because I had such a good time this session and all the way along.
Yeah, it was just yeah. I'm always glad to see people engage with the PvP thing. I've seen it. I've only seen it a few times. You know, I've had those mechanics in there. We had the end of another campaign of Hearts of Wulin where Sherry and Patrick essentially had a showdown, and Sherry made the offer. You let me win, but I let you narrate how all this happens. And Patrick, who wasn't going to accept it, went, ooh, and took it and lost and quote unquote died at the end of the thing. So it was great. So I'm always glad to see that in play. Kale?
Yeah, I mean, the whole series has been great. I like it. I did really enjoy the interplay between the sort of clan level and like zooming in on the characters and all of the transition of the ages and the characters changing as well. Like that was a lot of fun. This session, the duel especially stood out in my mind. It's that it was great to sort of see the characters come to life. The Tsuru's sort of turn and the shift in the dream and the recasting of that was a lot of fun. So yes.
Awesome. I also really loved how you had what you did with those Borderlanders. Like that was always really interesting. You had a strong vision of that, and you carried it all the way through. So I really enjoyed that. Sherry, as often I do, I'm going to give you last word.
It is unkind, but the only thing that's less kind is making me go first. So I'm okay with it. I loved this game. I've played this once before, but I played it with people I play all the time, and it was an excellent game. But I knew what was going to happen. You all were delightful because you had such deep, good thinking about things, and it was not what I was expecting at all. And it was just so fun to react to and to tangle myself up in. And I loved your characters and I loved your clans. And yeah, it's like, I want to play this again. I want to play, but we all know that we'll have to make up other characters in a different world if we play this again, but that's delicious too. So it's good. This was great. I wanted to use my death move. That would have been the only thing. I was going to use my death move to make the dragon thing go. But that is the only thing that I'd say that there was a little bit of regret, but it was a good place to quit, because to stop, because then other things could happen. It just so good. All of you were so generous. All of you were so delightfully just original and thinking cool, neat thoughts that were tactical and wondrous, and I just great. One of the best games of, let's say, a samurai game with clans that I've played. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I'm going to end the recording. Oh, I'm going to stop the summary first. And then I'm going to stop the